Hi guys. I had this idea for a reading vlog. Well, it's not a groundbreaking idea, but I, as you may or may not know, am trying to tackle my physical TBR. At the minute, there are 70 books on it. I started the year off with maybe 90, 95. I read a lot and I got rid of a lot as well. I was really honest with myself about whether or not I would read the books that are on there, and there are a few that I decided to get rid of, but I still have a pretty big pile. I'm most likely moving at the end of the year, and by the end of the year I mean come September. I would love to stay, but we'll see how things end up going for me. And if I do move, wherever I move to next, books are likely to be more expensive than they are in the UK. So part of me wants to take advantage of that, and part of me is also just like, I have such a huge TBR that I should probably tackle. So anyway, this is going to be episode 1 of me just reading from my physical TBR. I've already started a book and I'm well over halfway now. I have this much left, but I still wanted to talk about it. This is The Make-Believe by Hannah Murray. This was a new addition to my TBR because it was kindly sent to me by Penguin. I was so excited to read this. Hannah Murray is an actress from the TV show Skins and Game of Thrones, but this book just tackles her falling into a cult that kind of believes or makes her believe in magic, and it's been going kind of crazy so far. I'm at the part right now where she's really gotten into the cult and the cult has kind of taken over her mind. It's really interesting because the writing reflects her mental state at the time. Things become kind of unclear in the writing and kind of crazy, honestly. But yeah, it's really interesting. If this topic at all interests you, I would recommend checking it out when it comes out. I also love this cover. It's so cool. Yeah, I'm gonna try and finish it today. I'm in kind of a reading slump this month because I didn't really have time to read when I was in Egypt, and so I ended up only reading 2 books in the 10 days that I was there, which in the grand scheme of things is not that small, but because I was reading so many books the month before April, it's kind of gotten me out of the reading mood that I was in April. So trying to get back in. I'm gonna try and finish this today. I have a little bit over 100 pages. That should be doable in one day, and then we'll continue and read some of the books on my physical TBR, which I actually rearranged. I rearranged it in alphabetical order because I was bored and I don't have that many books with me here, so I thought it would just be fun to fill it in alphabetical order. And yeah, that is essentially it. Let's read and let's try to tackle this TBR. Hey guys, I finished The Make-Believe yesterday, so let me give some of my thoughts. I did try to write a more extensive review on Goodreads. Since this is a book that the publisher sent to me, I feel like, not that they asked me to give an extensive review, but I feel like I should. That being said, my feelings towards this book are not at all affected about the fact that it was sent to me, just to make that clear. And I ended up really enjoying it, actually. I think apart from Beach Read, it was the only time that I ever read about a cult, except this time it's obviously a real cult, and the moments that she was describing were crazy. But what I found quite impressive with this kind of memoir is that I don't think that I would personally get involved in a cult, like, because I'd question the things that they say to her in this book so much. However, what I think she does really well is show you what she was going through and explain how her mind was at the time. And with all of that in mind when you're reading, it feels plausible that if you had been in her shoes, you might have been involved, you know? Which I think is a difficult thing to achieve when talking about a cult, because obviously I, as a reader, am going into this book knowing that she was involved in a cult, and so therefore I'm being a lot more critical of the things that these people are saying to her. But the way she was building up the elements of it made it seem plausible. And obviously obviously it is possible because it happened to her, but I mean this from an external viewpoint. And the only overall thing that I found in this book is that you can tell that it's written from her experience, but you can also tell that she's not an author. That's not to say that the writing is bad, because it's really not. It's just the way that it's structured and the way that she explains these events, although the pace is really good and although the writing evolves and changes, does still feel very typical of what you would expect a memoir to be. And I think the memoirs that have personally left a groundbreaking impact on me tend to usually be more different or challenging the typical conventions of the memoir as a form or the book as a form. But that being said, I still really enjoyed this one and would highly recommend reading it, especially if you're interested in cults. Like, I'm not personally, but I know my roommate is, and I'm gonna give this to her because she is going to love this. This also not at all related because I don't know what the movie is about, but this also made me want to watch Midsummer, so I need to get on that. But yes, that was first TBR Takedown, and that was the Make Believe. I am now going to start The Names by Florence Knapp or Knapp. I'm super excited for this book. I heard about it from Sarah Caroli, and the concept of it is a concept that I love. We're following this woman called Cora who needs to register the name of her son, and usually in her husband's family, the men have the same name. So her husband has the name of his dad had the name of his grandfather, etc., etc. Except Cora really does not want to give her son this name because her husband is a terrible person. And so in the first timeline, she gives him the name that her daughter suggests. In the second timeline, she gives him the name that she chose for him. And in the third timeline, she gives him the name of her husband. And all these timelines follow the life of this family and how it differs depending on the name of the child, which I think is a really cool concept. It makes me think of the movies Smoking, No Smoking. I haven't watched them, but my dad talks about them all the time. And if I'm right, in one of the movies, the main character chooses to have a smoke, and then in the second one, he doesn't, and his life ends up being completely different. So this is a concept that I find really interesting and really cool, partly because I'm always thinking about or stressing about making decisions and fully knowing that choosing something means that you're actively leaving away so many other opportunities or things. So I'm 72 pages in so far and I'm absolutely loving it. It reads really fast. The concept is really interesting. The writing is not super lyrical, but it's really well written. I didn't say it for the Make Believe, but check trigger warnings for both of these books if you are interested, because they both have sensitive topics. I think that's the case with most books, to be honest, which is why I don't say it all the time. But in general, I'm gonna try and be more conscious of saying it more often, but in general, do check trigger warnings if you have some. But I'm gonna continue reading, but yes, so far, so good. I kind of forgot to update y'all since I am at page 215, which means I have about 100 pages left, which means that I could potentially finish it tonight or tomorrow morning, depending on my plans tonight, although it's already 6 p.m. so I don't know. I haven't read today yet, but so far, still really enjoying it. I think I don't feel as enthralled as I was in the beginning, but I think that's not really due to the book, and it's more due to my reading habits, which the desire to read is not as strong as it was last month. So that obviously plays a role into how I feel about the book, and most importantly, it's also because I had so much schoolwork to do. Just had an oral today, so was a bit busy with all of that. But still enjoying this quite a lot. It is very tragic throughout, and there are so many topics that are hard to read about, so I really want to stress to look at trigger warnings. But what I like is because we have 3 point of views or 3 timelines, and these timelines jump 7 years in the future every time, it's hard to make you feel like you've grown with a character, but I find that the author really does a great job of doing that, and there is no chronological linear way of expressing the point of views. So usually what will happen is at whatever time there will be point of views of the mom, of the sister, of girlfriends, friends, and so that really enhances the story overall. And within those point of views, we see glimpses of the past 7 years and understand how the character has evolved and towards what, which I find really good. So I really enjoyed the structure of this book and the idea as well as the execution. So far so good. Really happy about it. Like I was saying, I have an oral today and I decided to break my ban, which I also wanted to talk about because I was toying back and forth with breaking it for today and just buying a book for myself as a treat or just breaking it altogether. I think I'm gonna break it altogether until maybe September because realistically speaking, I am going to be moving by September, most likely, even though I love it here and I would love to stay, but I don't know if that's going to be the case. If it's the case, then that's amazing and I can reapply my book buying ban whenever I've left. If I do leave though, I probably won't be buying as many books anyway because books are so cheap here, and I think it's because they don't have that tax that makes them more expensive. Even in France, they're like €4 or €6 more expensive, and that's not just talking about solely English books. Like new releases in France are 18 to 20 euros, and here new releases are more expensive, but that's because they're hardback. But if we're talking about a paperback, it's most likely between £8.99 and £10.99. So I should take advantage of that and think of the fact that I most likely won't be buying as many books wherever I'm moving next because they'll probably be more expensive. And that's not to say that I want to buy 100 books, but I don't want to restrict as of right now. And there are some books that came out last year or a few months ago that finally come out in paperback that I really want to purchase because I hate hardbacks and I would rather wait for a paperback than read a hardback unless it's a book that I'm really looking forward to. And even in these cases, I don't mind reading on my Kindle. And that brings me to the book that I bought today. It's All Fours by Miranda July. I've been wanting to read this book ever since it came out, and there was so many people talking about it. Got me really excited. I was waiting for the paperback version, and every time I saw it at a bookstore since, I was like, I'll buy it next time. And I never bought it, so I decided to get it. To be completely transparent, I was originally looking for Yoon Lee's memoir called Dear Friend from My Life, I Write to You in Your Life, but they didn't have it. I spent like genuinely an hour in the bookstore thinking of what book I would want to buy. The one that's really on my radar at the minute is The Bright Years, but that doesn't come out till Thursday, but you bet I will be going back to the bookstore on Thursday and getting it then because I'm so excited to read this book. I've been waiting a year to read it, and then I have a few more books that are on my radar that I'm looking forward to reading in June. And so I don't want to feel the stress of having to read all the books I purchased because I don't want to start reading books at the wrong time because of that. However, I will say this book buying ban has been practical in the sense that now I don't feel the need to buy a book months in advance. Like an example of this is when I bought Frankenstein, because I bought it I think in December, fully knowing that I wouldn't be reading it until October, so I didn't need to buy it then. So that's what I'm thinking. The books that are on my radar, I am planning on buying them with the intention of reading them sooner rather than later, and by sooner rather than later I mean in the next 2 months. Anyway, that was my spiel. I'm gonna try and finish the names, and I will probably see you guys tomorrow when I have final thoughts and when I start a new book. Hey guys, I've been really bad with my vlogging game. Really sorry about that. Part of the reason is that I've not been reading too much, or not very quickly. The slump is there. It's real. I'm not reading, but I'm reading a lot slower than I was last month, but it's not really about that. It's more that I feel the desire to read less than I did last month. So I don't know. I just haven't been gripped by my books, which is really sad. Update on the names. I finished it, thankfully. I finished it 2 days ago, I think. So my overall opinions. I liked that in every timeline there was something tragic going on, really demonstrating that you can't get away from pain in life, which is just the truth. Life is made up of happiness. It is made up of pain. It is made up of outrageous things. I do think this book is heavier than it looks on the cover, and heavier than people have been saying, in my opinion. It's really heavy, genuinely. There's so much that's hard to read about, and at times it felt almost trivial. There's one specific thing that I felt was just there for just being there, so that was a bit disappointing, but overall still really enjoyed it. Would highly recommend it. It wasn't one of those books that I just could not put down, which is why it took me quite a bit to read as well, but I'm happy that I read it. I really enjoyed it. I'm really curious to see what this author is going to come out with next, considering this was a debut, so that was the name. And I've since started, as you saw, Writers and Lovers by Lily King. This has been on my TBR for so long, and it was in France. I brought it back from France last month. It was literally in an unhaul pile in France, but ever since everyone's been talking about Heart the Lover by Lily King, I've been wanting to read this, so took it out of that pile and brought it back here. I think I bought this book in 2021. That's how long it's been, but I'm gonna read a bit of the back because it's kind of hard to explain. It says, Casey is lost. She is mourning the death of her mother. The novel she's been writing for 6 years isn't going anywhere, and her debt is soaring. Surely, at 31, when all her friends are getting married and having kids, she is too old for things to be this way. Then she meets Silas. He is kind, handsome, interested. But only a few weeks later, Oscar, older, fascinating, complicated, walks into her life, his 2 boys in tow. Suddenly, Casey finds herself at the point of a love triangle, torn between 2 very different futures. So far, I'm nowhere near that plotline. I'm at page 47. I think it's chapter 4 if I were to count chapters. As you see, there are none. But yes, so far we've been introduced to Casey and kind of where she is mentally in this time in her life. This is before she meets these 2 men. She not only lost her mother, but she is also going through a sort of breakup, which is really difficult on her, and added to that is, like it says in the back, the stress of being in debt. So she's really in a hard place, which is quite apparent from the get-go. I've stopped annotating my books quite as much because it makes it harder to give them away or get rid of them when I've annotated them, and I don't feel the need to keep a shelf with books that I don't love and that aren't classics, because I do want to keep classics, but books that I don't love, I don't feel the need to have them on my shelf. However, I did feel the urge to annotate a couple sentences in here, which is nice. We'll see how I feel a bit later on. I think it's still too early for me to really say anything about this book, other than the writing so far has been very easy. It feels like a very approachable literary fiction. And I'm saying this in case you're not into the literary fiction genre. I think this is a good way to get into it because the writing is very simple. It's very imaginable. At times it's almost a bit too simple for me. I wish it went a bit deeper. Like, I'm not 100% there with our character and her emotions, but I understand her and I see her and I feel like I'm gonna really enjoy it the more I go, especially considering this plot. And I'm really excited to get to Heart the Lover when I finish this one. I've heard that you should read this before you read Heart the Lover, which has been on my radar for a bit. And since my book buying ban is over, I should be able to purchase it, which is nice. I did try to get it the other day, but I didn't find it. And then it was on the table where you check out. I was not gonna go and put all 4s back down, so I just didn't get it. But I'm going to the bookstore today, so I might splurge and get it. It's really hot today, so hair is up. I might go back to the park like I did yesterday and read some of this. But yeah, I'll let you know what I think when I've read more. Hey guys, long time no talk. Today is Monday. A, I thought I was going to be reading books faster than I have been, and B, it's just been so hot I've had no desire to speak to the camera for a while. To be quite frank, I just raised the blinds for you guys. I've been wallowing in my darkness because my blinds aren't very useful, but I'm trying to keep a semblance of coolness in my room, which is not working very well, but in this heat wave it is mandatory. Let me give you a bit of an update on Writers and Lovers. I am at page 146, almost halfway through. Really enjoying it. I'm in the beginning of this infamous love triangle, which I'm super excited to see how it's gonna go. I do really enjoy the book, however, I just don't have the desire to read at the minute. It's not, I think it's my phone. I'm gonna be honest, it's that damn phone. It's that damn phone. I've been spending a lot more time on my phone recently. Usually I average about 2 hours. I think it's partly because it is really hot, and so I just don't have the energy to pour into reading, to be honest. But I also think it's the semblance of the reading slump, so after this I'm gonna have to find a way to get out of the grips that this reading slump has on me, because I want to be reading. I wake up early, but I just start watching YouTube. Also, I will say part of the reason might be off campus, because I watched that show in 3 days, which for me is really fast. I was obsessed with it. It was so good. I really enjoyed it. I didn't expect it. I honestly, full transparency, went into it expecting to find it kind of too cringy, and don't get me wrong, there were some cringy scenes, but maybe unpopular opinion, The Summer I Turned Pretty does not even compare. Sue me, I'm sorry, but it's true. It's so good. I'm obsessed with it. I low-key want to watch it again. I want Allie's entire wardrobe in that show. These outfits are so pretty. Want them all. So that's what I've been doing as opposed to reading. But I'm going to try to get a big dent into this evening. I say this because it's already 6:15. I'm going to try and read as much as possible right now. But overall, really enjoying it. Really liking the writing and how immersive it is. Honestly, this book is not really the fault for this reading slump. It just is more the victim of it, unfortunately. But I am really enjoying it. I'm really curious to see where it's gonna go. I feel like I'm finally getting into the thick of it. It was a bit slow in the beginning, so now I'm finally starting this love triangle story, and I'm really excited to get into that. So that's what I'm going to be doing, and hopefully I will finish it by tomorrow. Let's try and get as far as possible today. Guys, today's actually the day that this video is supposed to come out, so that kind of shows you how I was a bit all over the place. In my defense, I ended up finishing Writers and Lovers on Tuesday, which I'll give my thoughts in a second, but in the meantime my grandmother came to stay with me until Friday. Today is Sunday, and I didn't film yesterday because it was so hot and I just did not have the energy. The heat wave is now over. We're back to gloomy and cold weather, which I'm not super happy about. I just need a nice in-between of good temperatures and sunny weather. But that's just me complaining. Let me give my thoughts on Writers and Lovers. I actually I forgot how many pages, but I sat at the park last Tuesday and I was like, okay, I'm gonna read 50 pages because it was 1 p.m. It was super hot. I wanted to tan a little bit, but I just didn't think it was gonna stay that long, and I ended up finishing it all in one sitting, which meant I read for 2 hours and a half out there. I ended up really loving this book. I think if I hadn't read it in a reading slump, it would 100% be a 5-star book for me. I just really enjoyed it. There are so many parts where I just really loved it, and I really enjoyed the way it was written because there was a sort of distance from the story and from the main character, which meant that we're never super into the story, but you can tell that it's on purpose, and you can tell that it's kind of her way of protecting her own feelings in a way. I really liked that. The love triangle was such an interesting plot. It also read very easy. I love some of the characters in here. I don't want to say who exactly, but I love some of them. I dog-eared pages because I didn't have a pen to annotate, and that says a lot. I'll read one of the quotes that I dog-eared. There's a particular feeling in your body when something goes right after a long time of things going wrong. It feels warm and sweet and loose. I'm not gonna spoil, so I'll just say the last sentence in that paragraph. For a moment, all my bees have turned to honey. It was not the most lyrical book or the most groundbreaking story, but I really liked it. I think I love the concept of love triangles in literary fiction and in movies that are sad, like Past Lives, because I'm a what if person. I always think about the what ifs. You know, I like storytelling, so I like to follow dilemmas, and I like to follow characters who make a decision, and by making that, omit or not choose the other. Only great things to say genuinely about Writers and Lovers. Really loved it. Would 100% reread it. I don't think it's a book that everyone would love, but I read it at the right time and I really loved it. That was my reading vlog. I know that it was not the best, especially b-roll wise. I'm actually about to start another one, so I'll do better in the next one. But thanks for starting to tackle the physical TBR with me. I have a few ways that I want to do this, so look forward to that. I will see you next week for my May wrap up, and have a great rest of your day or night. I'll see you soon. Bye.